Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we're going to be playing some Historic Best of 3, and we are trying out a build of Mono Black Aggro in Historic. And we got a couple new cards from the Alchemy drop that I want to try out in the shell. Notably Painful Bond, which is a card that I've played in a number of shells already and have loved this card in Historic. 2 mana, draw 2, and then your cards that are 3 CMC or more cost you a life in order to cast them. This effect does stack, so if you cast multiple of these, you get the tax on like kind of built up. But notably with this deck, we are kind of like a suicide block deck. You pay some life, but you're throwing out big creatures or like effective creatures to kill your opponent as quick as possible. We're also trying out Undercity Plunder. 2 mana, basically opponent either discards 2 or they discard 1 and you get a card from their library that you can perpetually cast for whatever mana possible that you want in terms of color. The rest of the deck, walking through, you got Dread Wanderer as well as Knight of Eben Legion as 1-drops, Fatal Push and Thoughtseize as disruption, more discard and removal. Gifted Aetherborn as our other 2-drop, gain us some life, Death Touch trades up, especially with stuff like auras. Graveyard Trespasser eats away at the graveyards, as well as gains us some life back. One of Murderous Riders, catch all removal. Agadines as kind of catch. We could potentially get up to 4. So this deck here, Spawn of Mayhem more often than not is a 3-drop in this deck with the Spectacle ability. But it's a big evasive flyer that just gets bigger as our life goes down. And then finally some Sorens give us some card advantage, life linkers, and an ultimate that could potentially kill our opponent. Mana base wise, we got some castles for card draw, hives as creature lands, as well as a Blink Moth Nexus. So Blink Moth's an interesting choice. Really, it's just a very cheap creature land. It's also evasive, so it can go over the top of something like Cat Oven. We also have a copy of Takenuma to buy back stuff if needed. The sideboard. And for transparency, not played this deck in this configuration yet, so we'll kind of play it out, see how it goes. We got some Davriel's Withering for exile-based removal, cheap removal, good against Phoenix. Some Duresses versus the control matchups. Legion's End versus like auras, cheap stuff like that, hits a bunch of things with exile. Grasp is good against green decks, white decks, Teferis, auras, stuff like that. Some Go Blanks versus like Phoenix, control, graveyard synergy decks. Some Phyrexian Obliterators versus like the creature decks that don't have like red-based removal, stuff like that. Really good. And then some Meat Hook Massacres for sweepers. I'm thinking of bringing those in against like Cat Oven to offset some of the life loss as well. So we'll give this a shot. See how it goes on the Mythic ladder. We might change it up a bit. Really what I wanted to see was how these new cards played in Historic. And I like drawing cards in aggressive decks, so we'll see how that one plays out. So already, Umari Companion. Alright, opponent's got my interest. This could be enchantments. This could be shrines. Is this shrines? I was hoping for a 2-drop we could have played out that turn, but next turn I'll go Spectacle. Could just be 9 lives. Which, when you are playing as Mono Black, you don't like seeing enchantments. So prioritizing getting this out. I could plunder next turn. This is basically a dead card because I can't hit anything. This is an interesting turn. So I think I still want to just get this out. Next turn I can Takenuma and Undercity Plunder. Takenuma down, activate the Knight, and Plunder. 9 lives Enchantress is probably a really bad matchup. Thinking we bring in Duress. Probably bring in some copies of Withering. Let's see what we get here. I mean, if we hit 9 lives, we might be able to get them that way. So we can't target their creatures. So I think we go in for the attack first here. See what they do. We could potentially pump. I want them to get less cards in hand. See if they go the block here. This grows my Knight of Eben Legion. Okay, so they don't pop the Sterling Grove. So we know they won't have sweepers because of Amari. Every card in their deck's an enchantment. Probably get rid of Knight here. So they can get the lock on me next turn. Fortunately, we're going to come up just a little short. I don't think I have a way for life loss in this deck, right? This is deal... Okay, so this is loses 1 life. So our Graveyard Trespassers could get around the 9 lives lock. That's worth noting. Okay, so they just had it. What's Amari's? And they have Sigil. It's gonna close out the game quick. Along with Lair. We can cast this at least to get rid of an angel. The problem is I can't kill their Sanctum Weavers. I need my own creatures so I can have them die. So we can get the drain on. So we're not attacking because 9 lives creates a lock where we can't take damage. So we got to notice that, so they're having the ley line. We're kind of doing this for information at this point. If we can have some of our creatures die, it's also good. So now, because of this ley line, that would have been good. Okay, we'll just go to sideboard here. I'm not going to get their creatures in the graveyard, and they're going to be able to go over the top. So in this matchup, let's bring in the meat hooks. Let's bring in the probably Obliterator doesn't do much. Go blank seems good. Noxious Grasp seems good. Duress. So what we have to be mindful of is the fact they have ley line, which makes our discard really bad. So how much of this do we want to bring in? Probably not bring in the go blanks. Plunder is a way for us to get around them. Honestly, I probably don't even want the Noxious Grasps, because if they have Sterling Grove, I can't do anything. It's a weird matchup because... So we saw Leyline, so they might be aggressive in terms of mulliganing into Leyline. Plus, they're just going to get to the point where they could chain together a lot. Okay. Think here. I want to maximize the chance of hitting Sterling Grove. It's actually a really good draw. Do I care about Rest in Peace? Probably not. See if they go with the ramp here. If it was Thoughtseize, we would have taken Sithis out of their hand. Just try to aggro them out this game. The nice thing we can do is with this on 2, if we ever get to it, all our stuff will be at 3 toughness. So Baffling End can't hit. Okay, Thoughtseize is really good here. Sterling Grove is probably the call, or is it Enchantress's Presence? That lets them double spell for the turn, but I want to get them to double spell. And it would probably be Sanctum Weaver. I need to hit a land though. They're kind of inclined to play Sanctum Weaver, and this is a tough matchup. Like, you want removal versus the Sithis, but we looked at that last game and they turned 2 Sterling Groved on us. And our Fatal Push just sat in hand. Okay, give me a land. 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 Land. Now we're probably dead. So we needed land that turn to sweep up their board. If they play Rest in Peace here, then we don't get the triggers from the Meat Hook Massacre. Creature doesn't count as dying. They have like infinite mana at this point. Okay, so they put 9 lives on top. So they draw into the lock, because of course. Yeah, if we had the land there, like none of this happens. They don't have all this mana, they don't have all this card draw. Yeah, no, I have no way. Turn light. We could sweep this turn, but it doesn't do anything because Rest in Peace turns off my ability to have the life loss because it doesn't go around dies, and my Graveyard Trespasser eats away at that. And like, I could play Feed the Swarm, but Feed the Swarm's not a good card. That deck's not really popular anymore, so sometimes you're just going to lose. We hit a land there, the game goes a lot different. And like, we can board different, but we go heavier on discard, and then you run the risk of just not finding what you need. Luris. Keep this. Put that back. Could be auras. First hand had only 1 land. Indeed, auras. They always have it. So I'm going to attack with the knight here. It's basically a free point of damage. And then we'll plunder and then play out another knight. Selfless Savior of our own would be really good. Post board we get a lot better. We could bring in removal, Legion's End, stuff like that. Game 1 they probably have the advantage. Lion Sash. Line Sash is a weird addition. Let's just go to sideboard here. I'm not going to show more of the deck. So this matchup, I want the Legion's End, I want the Davriel's Withering, I want the Noxious Grasps. Thoughtseize on the play. So we'll probably get rid of Dreadwander. Doesn't do enough, doesn't block in this matchup. Probably... I just want all removal. Probably trim a couple Trespassers. The question is, do I want Obliterator? Now bring like portable holes and stuff. Maybe bring in one. Like a well-timed Thoughtseize can really disrupt them. Let's try it like that. This is what you gotta try out sometimes, right? Like, the plunders have basically drawn us lands every time we've cast them. Probably keep little awkward mana base, the one of Blink Moth, making this not come into play untapped. They always have the damn dog. Kept this basically like this can help us draw into stuff. Okay, Fatal Push is good. So I can Thoughtseize this turn. No, because then next turn I can cast all four of these, so this turn's going to be a Murderous Rider turn. Just going to hold back here. I guess the one thing about not doing that, so I'm going to do this now. What the hell is that? While they have blue mana down, so they're forced to use the dog and they can't sacrifice. And they cartouche. So we're going to take 6 here. This is on cast. Yeah. So let's start by Thoughtseizing. Aether Spell Tunnel. Shram, Staggering Insight. So we can, this is an interesting line. So if I, oh, they have Karametra's Blessing. Oh, I'm an idiot. They had Blessing. Okay, you're not, I'm dead. I screwed that up. I completely missed they had Blessing. I needed to get that out of their hand. Let's try this once in best of one, see how it plays out, if it's any better. Largely I found this lackluster. that's something just to be mindful of when we're playing these games. Like, how does it feel? We go first. It's not a great opener because all our cards are expensive and we get taxed by the painful bond. But drawn to, like if we were on the draw, I wouldn't keep this. Elves. Okay, that's a good draw. So I can go Trespasser here. Nope, we're gonna kill the War Master. I guess let's see what they play. Dwindling Elite. So I could plunder here. I think we just play out Trespasser. The life gain can be reasonable. The death touch on our creatures is good because we can trade up on big elves. I think this turn we just get Sorin going. I don't feel like trading either of my ground creatures for like a Dwindlin and a 1/1.
My ways are not for the weak.
Let's spectacle you out. Cast you out. And the next turn I can cast both of these. Opponent struggled on mana. But Lord's good for them. We could see them potentially... That seems like a overly aggressive attack. We basically get a bunch of good beats here. Yeah. Opponent missed lines. Too many turns. Okay, so that's pretty much the deck. I'm not like thrilled with this one, so I'm not going to run it more, but you can get the idea what we're trying to achieve there. Let me know what you think in the comments if you would build it in a different way, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.